Welcome back to Book Summaries channel. Have you ever been told that if you work hard, you'll be successful, and then you'll finally be happy? Well, science says we've had it backwards all along. Today we are exploring The Happiness Advantage by Shawn Achor. This book flips the traditional formula for success on its head by proving that happiness is actually the precursor to success, not the result of it. In this opening chapter, Shawn Achor introduces the core concept that happiness is a significant competitive advantage in the workplace and life. Most people believe that once they achieve a certain goal, like a promotion or a weight loss target, they will be happy. However, every time we hit a goal, the goalposts for success are pushed further out, meaning happiness remains perpetually out of reach. Achor presents research showing that the human brain is wired to perform better when it is in a positive state compared to a neutral or negative one. When we are happy, our brains release dopamine and serotonin, which not only make us feel good, but also turn on the learning centers in our brains. This happiness advantage allows us to think more quickly, creatively, and solve problems more effectively. By shifting our focus to cultivating a positive mindset first, we actually increase our chances of succeeding at our external goals. The chapter emphasizes that happiness is a choice and a work ethic that requires consistent effort. If we can find ways to become more positive in the present, we will work harder, faster, and more intelligently. This is the foundation upon which the rest of the book's principles are built. This chapter focuses on the power of our mindset and how it shapes our reality through the metaphor of a fulcrum and a lever. The lever represents our potential and effort, while the fulcrum represents our mindset and perspective. By shifting the position of the fulcrum, moving our mindset to a more positive place, we can drastically increase the power of our lever to move the heavy objects in our lives. Achor explains that our brain does not simply record the world as it is. It interprets the world based on our internal settings. If we believe we can succeed or that our actions matter, we move the fulcrum in a way that amplifies our natural abilities. The research cited shows that even small shifts in perspective can lead to massive changes in performance and health. For instance, housekeepers who were told their work was a form of exercise actually lost more weight than those who viewed it as just a job. This illustrates that what we tell ourselves about our daily activities changes the physical and mental results we get from them. We have the power to consciously adjust our fulcrum to make our work feel less burdensome and our goals more attainable. By changing our internal narrative, we give ourselves the leverage needed to overcome obstacles that previously seemed insurmountable. The Tetris Effect is a phenomenon where people spend so much time doing something that it begins to pattern their thoughts and perceptions of the world. Just as players of the video game Tetris begin to see geometric shapes in their everyday environment, our brains can get stuck in patterns of scanning for either the negative or the positive. Many professionals, such as tax auditors or lawyers, are trained to look for mistakes and flaws all day, which can cause them to bring that negative lens home to their relationships. Achor argues that we must train our brains to scan for the good by intentionally practicing positivity. This doesn't mean ignoring problems, but rather ensuring we don't miss the opportunities and successes occurring around us. One of the most effective ways to break a negative Tetris effect is to write down 3 things you are grateful for every day. This simple exercise forces the brain to scan the last 24 hours for positive experiences, reinforcing new neural pathways. Over time, this practice makes the brain naturally more inclined to notice possibilities rather than just threats. By cultivating a positive Tetris effect, we become more optimistic and resilient. This mental retraining is essential for maintaining the happiness advantage in a world that often highlights the negative. This chapter addresses the inevitability of failure and how a positive mindset allows us to find a path through adversity toward growth. Achor introduces the concept of falling up, which describes the phenomenon of post-traumatic growth where people become stronger after a crisis. When we face a setback, our brains usually map out three paths. One that circles where we are, one that leads to further negative consequences, and one that leads us to be better off than before. The happiness advantage helps us see that third path, the upward one, even in the middle of a struggle. Our ability to recover from failure depends largely on how we explain that failure to ourselves. People who view setbacks as temporary and specific are much more likely to persevere than those who see them as permanent and pervasive. Resilience is not about avoiding the fall, but about using the momentum of the fall to propel oneself forward. Achor shares studies showing that those who find meaning in their struggles often end up with higher levels of functioning than before the trauma occurred. By learning to find the silver lining and focus on the lessons learned, we turn failures into stepping stones. This mindset ensures that no matter what happens, we are always moving toward a more successful future. When we feel overwhelmed by massive goals or heavy stress, we often lose our sense of control, leading to paralysis or poor decision-making. The Zorro Circle is a technique for reclaiming control by focusing on small, manageable goals first. The name comes from the legend of Zorro, who had to master fighting within a small circle drawn in the dirt before he could take on larger battles. By mastering a small area of our life or work, we regain our confidence and reduce our stress levels. This sense of mastery then provides us with the emotional resources to expand our circle and take on bigger challenges. Many people make the mistake of trying to fix everything at once, which leads to brain hijack, where the emotional part of the brain takes over the rational part. By narrowing our focus, we keep our rational brain engaged and prevent the feeling of being overwhelmed. This principle can be applied to anything from cleaning a cluttered desk to launching a massive corporate project. Each small win releases a burst of positive emotion that fuels the next step. Gradually, these small circles of success grow until we have reclaimed control over our entire destiny. It is a lesson in the power of incremental progress and the importance of focusing on what is within our immediate power to change. This chapter deals with the gap between knowing what we should do and actually doing it, focusing on the science of habit formation. Achor explains that willpower is a limited resource that eventually runs out, which is why we often fail at New Year's resolutions. To build better habits, we must lower the activation energy for the behaviors we want and increase it for the ones we want to avoid. The 20-second rule suggests that if we can make a positive habit take 20 seconds less to start, we are far more likely to stick with it. For example, if you want to exercise in the morning, sleeping in your gym clothes removes the barrier of getting dressed. Conversely, if you want to watch less TV, taking the batteries out of the remote and putting them in another room creates a small barrier that makes you more likely to choose a better activity. Our brains are naturally inclined to take the path of least resistance. By intentionally designing our environment to make good habits easy and bad habits hard, we stop relying on fleeting willpower. This principle allows us to automate the happiness advantage by making positive actions the default choice. Small adjustments to our daily surroundings can lead to permanent changes in our lifestyle and productivity. It is about working with our human nature rather than against it. In the final principle, Achor argues that our social relationships are the greatest predictor of success and happiness. When faced with high stress or heavy workloads, many people make the mistake of retreating into themselves and cutting off social ties to focus on work. However, the most successful people do the opposite. They invest more in their social support network during times of crisis. Social connection acts as a buffer against stress and provides the mental and emotional resources needed to solve complex problems. Research shows that people with strong social ties have higher immune systems, lower stress levels, and live longer lives. In the workplace, social investment leads to higher engagement and better teamwork. Even small interactions, like a quick chat at the water cooler or a supportive email, can significantly boost our happiness advantage. We should view our friends, family, and colleagues not as distractions, but as the fuel that allows us to perform at our peak. Building social capital is just as important as building financial or intellectual capital. By staying connected and supporting others, we create a positive feedback loop that benefits everyone involved. Ultimately, happiness is a team sport, and we are most successful when we move forward together. The concluding chapter discusses the ripple effect of our own happiness and positivity on the people around us. Because humans are social creatures, our moods and behaviors are contagious due to mirror neurons in the brain. When we choose to implement the principles of the happiness advantage, we don't just improve our own lives. We influence our friends, family, and coworkers. This creates a positive feedback loop within our organizations and communities. Achor highlights that leading with a positive mindset can transform an entire office culture, leading to better collective performance and morale. We have the power to be a positive spark that ignites change in others. The book ends with a call to action to stop waiting for external circumstances to change and to start cultivating happiness from the inside out today. By practicing these 7 principles, we unlock our true potential and help others do the same. Success is not a zero-sum game. When we are happier and more productive, we create more value for everyone. The happiness advantage is a gift that keeps on giving, and it begins with a single person's decision to see the world differently. This summary reminds us that the journey toward greatness is paved with the joy we find along the way.